Whammy Gunslinger. So today we're going to do some trigger testing. And we're going to do the trigger testing the right way. Okay. What I have found as I been in the gun community for a long time, over 20 years, one thing that I noticed is that people don't know how to test the triggers correctly. And what they're doing is they're pulling the trigger back, but they're doing it at such a speed. They're doing it fast. They're not doing it slow enough. So when the trigger gets pulled and it hits the rear, by the time they realize that it's hit the rear and let up, it's a little too late. They've still pulled a little bit, and it adds on to the weight number. Now, these guys online may have led you to believe that a trigger can be 4.1 pounds on one pull and 4.9 pounds on another. And that's just not true. That's just not accurate. A trigger does not vary that dramatically. At the most, and I'm being nice here, this is an exaggeration, at the most by 0.3. Okay. What I usually see is either an exact or off by 0.1, sometimes 0.2. But 0.2 is rare. It's almost always exactly the same by 0.1, give or take. Okay. So I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna show you how it's done the right way, and we're gonna test out one of my favorite guns. I'm gonna test out my rifle, the Henry BigBoy in 357 Magnum. Okay, beautiful gun, beautiful gun. All right, these cost about $900 brand new. This is 100% American made. Every single part, everything on this gun is American made. Okay, we got the American walnut wood here. Okay, beautiful gun. Octagon barrel, very, very, very heavy duty barrel. They call it BigBoy for a reason, not because the gun is big, because this baby's heavy and it eats up the recoil. I also have Skinner Express sights on this. Okay, so my sight radius is longer, with my Skinner Express sights. Usually people use the butterfly sight to look through. I got the Skinner Express sights from back here with a smaller hole, so it's more accurate. But anyway, we're going to test the trigger on this and see what it is, because you ask someone who doesn't know what they're doing, and they'll probably tell you that the trigger on here is a 4.4 pound trigger or something. All right, let's get busy, shall we? Let's see what the trigger pull is. Oh, that was way too soft. Way too soft. I know what the problem is. Bear with me just a moment. Okay. Here we go. Now we're gonna get back to this. All right. Let's test this trigger. Look at that. 2.5 pound trigger. Read it in wheat, huh? Can you see it? Can you see it? Okay. So 2.5 pound trigger. Now, let's do that again. Well, would you look at that? Exactly 2.5 pounds again. Who'd have thunk it to get the exact same poundage 2 times in a row, because I'm doing it right. So let me show you what a lot of people are doing wrong. When they test a trigger, they just put this anywhere on the trigger. First of all, they put it anywhere on the trigger, and they go too fast. And they do something like this. Excuse me, I just slipped off there, but something like that. And if I did that, it would look like it's about 4.4 pound trigger. Let me do it again to prove my point here. Okay, they pull it too fast. Do something like this. Okay, that's another 4.6 pounds. Let's try that one more time. That one was 3 pounds. Okay, and I was being nicer that time. I was being much nicer. Okay, showed 3 pounds. That one showed 3.2 pounds. Okay. All right. And that's being nicer. That's being a little more fair of what most people are doing. But it's not a 3.2 pound trigger. It's not a 3 pound trigger. It's a 2.5 pound trigger. And they're pulling to, by the time they realize that they've hit the rear and let up, they've already pulled a little bit extra. And that's why they're not getting a correct reading, and they're getting these spreads of 3 pounds to 3.4 pounds and things of that nature. This is a 2.5 pound trigger, okay, on these guns. These triggers are sweet. Very, very sweet. One of the nicest triggers I own, period, in all of my home. I think the only trigger that I have better than this, and I'm not counting my single action revolvers, because that's not really fair. But I think the only gun that has a lighter trigger, not necessarily a better, because this trigger is better than the trigger I'm thinking of. But the lightest trigger I have is a 2 pound trigger, even on my AK-47, my Norinco 56S. That has a 2 pound trigger flat, but it's still not as nice a trigger as this one is. Okay, there's more to a trigger than just the weight. This trigger is sweet. So that's what we have for this episode, is the trigger pull on a Henry BigBoy 357 Magnum. We'll have more of these. I'll do some of my other guns and show you what the actual trigger pull is by doing it the correct way, not pulling it so fast that it's adding extra poundage. We're going to do it the right way. 2.5 pound trigger pull on the Henry BigBoy and 357 Magnum. That is beautiful. Whammy Gunslinger. Whammy out.